to know that you want to see our country return to the place it should be. So Clint, we look forward to hearing from you.
Thank you, Larry. When I was asked to speak at a Tea Party gathering, I was honored and a bit taken back when Larry asked me what I wanted to speak about. My wife, Rachel, she listens patiently and sometimes not so patiently after a good Glenn Beck show, and at times I wish I had taken that extended warranty on the TV. Most of y'all don't know me or where I'm from, but I was raised in Ohio by my grandparents. They were sharecroppers. I'm a Vietnam vet. My granddad was one of the most honest men I've ever known. He believed in God, and he believed in the United States, and he believed in honor. And I've tried to live my life so that he'd be and they'd be proud of me. They lived through the First World War, the Spanish flu, the Roaring '20s, the Great Depression, World War II, Korea, and the Vietnam War. It gave them a perspective on the changes that have plagued our country and that has made this country great. They saw the end of the horse and buggy days and watched men walk on the moon, even though it was on a black and white TV. Now, my granddad was a very religious man, and I don't believe I heard him swear but twice. Once when his prize hog tore up his new overalls, and once when you mentioned Woodrow Wilson. He called him the most evil SOB that ever lived, and Harry S. Truman the most foolish man in the country. And if it wasn't for World War II, we'd be dead broke. Well, we're right back where we started from. The progressives are in the hen house, and like it or not, we're stuck with them till November. But we can't let our guard down when it comes to November. We have to vote. We have to get everyone we know to vote. We have to scrutinize every politician. We have to look at every candidate's voting records, not just listen to their political ads. We listened to Barack Obama's campaign ads, but we didn't hear what he was saying. Folks, this country's in grave danger, not from without, but from within. A systematic plot has been afoot since the progressives began worming their way into our society since the turn of the century. Now, Barack Obama's no fool. He's not incompetent. To the contrary, he's brilliant. He knows exactly what he's doing. He is purposely overwhelming the U.S. economy to create a systematic failure, an economic crisis, and social chaos, thereby destroying capitalism from our country from within. Obama is following the plan of Coward and Priven, two professors at Columbia University. They outlined a plan to socialize America by overwhelming the system with government spending, entitlement demands, and adding up the clues. Taken individually, they're alarming. Taking it on a whole, a brilliant Machiavellian game plan to turn the United States into a socialist Marxist state with a permanent majority that desperately needs government for survival and can be counted on to ways to vote for bigger government. And why not? They have no responsibility to pay for it. Take universal health care. The health care bill had very little to do with health care at all, but it did have everything to do with unionizing millions of hospital and health care workers, as well as adding 15,000 to 20,000 new IRS agents, which will join the government employee unions. Obama doesn't care that giving free health care to 30 million Americans will add trillions to the national debt. What he does care about is that it will cement the dependence of those 30 million voters to Democrats and big government. Who but a socialist revolutionary would pass this reckless spending bill in the middle of a depression? Cap and trade. Like health care legislation, it has nothing to do with health care. Cap and trade has nothing to do with global warming, but it does have everything to do with distribution of income, government control of the economy, and criminal payoff to Obama's biggest contributors, those powerful and wealthy union contributors like GE, which owns NBC, MSNBC, and CNBC. They can be counted on to support everything that Obama wants. They'll kick back hundreds of millions of dollars in contributions to Obama and the Democratic Party to keep them in power. The bonus is that the new taxes on Americans on bigger cars, bigger homes, and businesses help Obama spread his wealth around. They also want to make Puerto Rico a state. Puerto Rico really doesn't want to be a state. Who's asking for a 51st state? Who's asking for millions of new welfare recipients and government entitled addicts in the middle of a depression? Certainly not us American taxpayers, but has been Obama's plan all along. His goal to add 2 new Democratic senators and 5 Democratic congressmen and 1 million of loyal Democratic voters who are dependent on big government. He wants to legalize 12 million illegal immigrants. Just giving these 12 million potential new citizens free health care alone could overwhelm the system and bankrupt America. But it adds 12 million reliable new Democratic voters who can be counted on to support big government and add a few $1 trillion in welfare. It'll add welfare for dependent children, food stamps, free medical education, tax credits for the poor, and eventually Social Security. You might ask yourself, what happened to all the money that was spent out in the stimulus? Mostly it went to Democratic contributors like Acorn and unions, including billions of dollars to save or create government jobs for the government employees across the country. It went to save GM and Chrysler so that their employees could keep paying union dues. It went to AIG so that Goldman Sachs could be bailed out after giving Obama almost $1 million in contributions. A staggering $125 billion went to teachers, thereby protecting their union dues. All the public employees will vote loyally Democratic to protect their bloated salaries and pensions that are bankrupting America. If the country goes broke, future generations will face a bleak future. Obama and the government, Democratic Party, will grow more powerful. Their motto is that the ends justify the means. They want to raise taxes on small business owners and high-income earners and job creators. They want to put the entire burden on the top 25% of taxpayers and redistribute the income to punish success and reward those who did nothing to deserve it, except for vote for Obama. Reagan wanted to dramatically cut taxes in order to starve the government. Obama wants to dramatically increase taxes to starve his political opposition. With the facts that I just outlined, Obama and his regime will have created a vast and rapidly expanding constituency of voters and big government. When you add this all up, you get a perfect Marxist scheme, all devised by using the Cloward and Piven plan. The end justifies the means. We must drop the radical pose for the radical end, and that's their motto. Folks, it's time that we stop this madness before it's too late. 100 years ago, we would have run Obama and Harry and Pelosi out of Washington on a rail, being tarred and feathered. But in this era of political correctness, we must use the ballot to rid ourselves of these kind of scum. We must vote out of every office, every progressive, corrupt politician that we can. We must close and secure the border and make sure that immigrants come welcomed into our country the right way, through the front door, and not as invaders in the middle of the night. In my opinion, we should repeal the 17th Amendment and send our congressmen and senators that we elect, not through a national election. We should abolish the NEA and investigate Fannie and Freddie, and by all means we should audit the Fed, lower taxes and cut wasteful spendings, and start growing this country again. We only need a balanced budget, and I'd like to see a surplus. We're never going to get there by cutting the funding of NASA and making the head of NASA a diplomat to the Muslim nations. We must refound this country on the values that make us the most admired and honorable society that's ever been on the face of the planet.